Hello and welcome to One Storyteller, where today we are discussing the most important chapter in Return of the King, apparently. The one where everything comes together to happen. It's the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. You like this chapter, I assume?
Yes.
A little bit. Why do you like this? Well, we'll get into some specific reasons later, but what are
Yeah.
some
Well, I guess
preliminary?
generally, I think I even said this in the Fellowship of the Ring, but
Probably.
definitely the Two Towers. Um,
He's been looking forward to this for a year at this point.
oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. It was last
I
July that we started.
yeah. I Tolkien had been laying out various different threads, and many of them come into conflict or cooperation, communion in this chapter.
Yeah.
Being
Basically,
tied together, opposing each other.
mhm.
Yeah.
Basically everything except technically Gandalf and Pippin's story, which is part 2, which is the next chapter, is
Yeah.
very much tied in here, still around the same event. And basically everything except Frodo and Sam is
Hmm.
present. All of our characters are finally in one place again, except for
Yeah.
Frodo and Sam, but we'll meet them in 7 chapters or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's an all right chapter. I
Okay, I guess I
it's
can take that.
it's one of those chapters where the writing itself I didn't feel was this incredible epic thing. It's not, I mean, it's hard when I'm reading a book for me to like lose myself in the book and just be
Mm,
swept away. My imagination doesn't really work like that. And so from that point of view, it wasn't really something that engaged me on every level that it could, but it
mm,
is a very satisfying chapter, and I think it's elevated as a chapter because of everything that happens in it and surrounding it for
yeah.
everyone that's involved, basically.
Yes, yeah.
So you can have a chapter where the writing's just okay, if and it can still be a fantastic chapter if all the characters are being actually utilized, and that's kind of what I feel like is happening. So
Okay. I
on the
think
whole,
that's fair. That's fair.
I do like this. As much
Okay.
as my words are going to be a little nitpicky on a few different things,
Okay,
um,
sure enough.
I think it does come together in the end. Um, we
What part of it is it still I still love this chapter, but I think earlier, like at least when we were in the Two Towers, I thought the end of the Rite of the Rohirrim was in this chapter somehow. I forgot like the flow of it exactly.
Fair enough.
That would make it like the best chapter ever. But
Arguably, first point I have to make is it kind of should be, because
sort of.
the as we've talked about how the book divisions, how Lord of the Rings is really just one book
Yeah.
that is kind of arbitrarily divided up into 3 or even 6 books or 6 divisions that all just
Yeah,
make
yeah.
up one book. This is a chapter that made me think, are the chapters kind of arbitrary divisions too? Because the first paragraph, especially, to be fair, I am reading this, right? It's been a week since I read the last chapter, and most people are reading this on consecutive nights or consecutive minutes.
Probably.
But still, the first paragraph of this chapter is like kind of whiplash, because you don't start a sentence with a conjunction. Thank you, Tolkien, English professor.
Bah.
Shouldn't do that. Well, you shouldn't do that in normal speech, but good writing and normal speech requires you to do that. So, break the rules to your benefit. But it just kind of starts out, and it just is going, and we're kind of in the middle of everything already. And so
Yes. Yeah.
I feel
That's
like
a good way to say it.
he kind of, I think he had all of chapter 4, was it, the Siege of Gondor? He had all of that together, and all of this Rohirrim stuff together, and all of the Pelennor Fields stuff together, and then the chapter divisions kind of fall arbitrarily, and I don't like where either chapter division is,
No.
and that's
So
fine.
I disagree with
Mhm.
that take a lot.
Fair enough.
I think So I said earlier, if somehow things were constructed where we had the charge of the Rohirrim in this chapter,
Mhm.
it'd be great. I don't think that's realistic for it to be there.
No.
Because it part of what makes it work is the suspense of the Rite of the Rohirrim chapter up to Theoden's almost giving up and then committing to charge. Um, and that would be kind of distracting extra stuff in this chapter. But as opposed to like the Fellowship of the Ring, especially, and even the Two Towers, the first part of Return of the King is like almost everything's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So it feels really different than the rest of the Lord of the Rings.
Well, one thing I think is not missing in this chapter. If Tolkien put in like 5 extra pages of the battle that's happening, I would be bored out of my mind,
He
right?
would,
But
or you would,
also,
yeah.
in order for us to get from point A to point B, he does kind of jump into the middle of it, because when you pick up in the second paragraph of this chapter, Theoden's already run through the whole north section, and they're already Elfhelm's men are already working on the siege engines and stuff. So they've already really done quite a bit, and there's a lot more to go, but there's still like some missing connection. So I wouldn't take the end of last chapter and put it in chapter 6,
Yeah.
but I almost might add in a paragraph that says they charged. It also probably would help if I had read this right after the last chapter instead of
Sure.
taking the
Yeah.
extended break.
Well, it would. In this case, like going from 5 to 6 is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I do like how most of the battle is kept pretty brief. There doesn't need to be a ton of explanation because, I mean, books aren't really the form for that, or at least not this book. This is not focused on ins and outs of the little battles that are ultimately insignificant. It's the broader happenings and maneuverings of the major players that are the significant things we should be focusing on.
Yeah.
That said, the first paragraph is the Witch King picking up right as he is about to smite Gandalf with a fire sword, and then he's like, "Ah, yes,
Yeah.
hold on, I'll be back," and then he kind of flies off, and we'll see him a little bit later before jumping into the Rohirrim doing really well against a bunch of orcs so far, but there are a lot more to still take out. And the
Yes.
different squadrons are split up in different areas. Theoden and Elfhelm specifically are in separate locations. Éomer is the one who's in charge of the 3rd Battalion, right? He's the captain.
Ooh. Actually, they're called Aorids.
Oh.
I don't remember.
Oh.
I think Éomer might be with a subgroup of Theodens.
Okay.
How does he split them up?
I forget. It's somewhere back in chapter 5, probably.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
No more plans. Oh no. Éomer, you lead the first, he says.
Cool.
It will go behind the king's banner in the center. So Éomer is in a separate group, but kind of following Theoden's own group.
Yeah. Which does explain why when Theoden runs into some trouble, Éomer does show up, but it takes a little bit because, that's just naturally how things would go. Elfhelm's off doing his own thing. For some reason, Durnhelm is with Theoden's group, and Durnhelm is supposed to be in Elfhelm's group. So I guess
we're bending rules even more.
Yeah, there's something to be said for, well, once we get out on the battlefield, who knows what happens, right? Which was basically the line from last time. There's also something to be said for, that's really not where he allegedly is supposed to be. So that will end up being pretty well that he, alleged, is in that position, but it's still a little odd. Questionable.
No, it's interesting. There's a lot of different characters in this chapter.
Yep.
But Eowyn, sorry, and Mary are definitely the most like they have them get the most focus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they should, at least for the first half of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They're pretty significant to kind of the main event as much
I
as.
guess I guess Aemir is also kind of a focus in the chapter too.
Yeah, well, he is definitely secondary.
Yeah.
He's very in and out. Again, there's not that much about the specific troop movements and such, but we
Oh
are
no.
highlighting um basically the Witch King is the big scary commander. And so if we take out the Witch King, then a lot of the other forces of the orcs are going to be easier, at least easier, if not easy to put down. And so it makes sense that we would follow the characters who are very closely involved with taking out that Witch King character or
Yes.
demon thing. Um, Basically, to get there, Theoden is, well, nobody's aiming for killing the Witch King. They don't know that they're able to, or they don't know where he is,
Yeah.
or something like that. Theoden is just, he sees a bunch of Haradrim with a nice little red-black banner.
Hmm.
And so Theoden's like, well, we gotta put that down. And he runs over and
It's
deals with it.
it's the colors opposite to his banner.
It is the
Yeah.
white green.
Yeah.
Who knows where blue fits in?
Yeah.
Blue's
Got
not real.
the Dol Amroth has blue, but
Oh,
that's okay.
yeah, they'll come out later. That's Imrahil and his people?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they'll come out later after he's dead, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Theoden does succeed in taking out the Haradrim group,
Hmm.
including the banner. Very, very cool. He'll reference that later. Uh, Before a shadow just kind of rolls up. As much as the sun has been breaking through, there's still a big shadow because it turns out when your Witch King is riding on a, not a dragon thing, but a big bird, basically, I guess.
Yeah. I think Tolkien is describing a pterodactyl.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, Something that
Something like that, yeah.
Sauron grabbed it and nurtured it and made sure it was really, really big, and then gave it to the ring wraiths for them to
Yeah.
ride, I think. So, are they actually called fell beasts in the book, or is that just the name that we attribute to them from
Well,
the movie? I forget.
yeah, it's the only thing to call them because they never get a proper name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just kind of bad. The landing of this pterodactyl thing spooks Theoden's horse, and also it helps that Theoden's horse gets shot. Uh,
Yeah.
I assume that's by the Witch King. It doesn't really make sense for it to be, because I don't think he has a bow. It just says he takes a black dart, and this is right after the Witch King shows up and makes
Right.
Snowmane
No, I
rear.
think it's unclear, but
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
okay. I don't know how he shoots him, but that's fine. If not him, there are plenty of Haradrim
He's
still
got
around,
he's
I'm
got his
sure.
weapons hotkeyed.
Yeah, that's how that works. His sword and mace, or whatever his armaments are.
Hmm.
Either way, horse is dead or dying.
Yeah. And that man, horses are big. It's not fun to have a horse land on top of you.
Oh, apparently not.
No.
I wouldn't know. I've never had the experience. And it's not even just laying on top of you. It is falling and taking you with it. So
Yeah.
the sudden stop on your knee is probably not going to end well.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that Theoden is not going to have a happy time there.
We
Yeah.
I mentioned this and talked a lot about this last chapter. So I won't talk as long this time.
Alleged.
But it's really neat thinking, like, obviously it's bittersweet because Theoden is defeated here, but it's really wonderful that the guy who was cowering in his dark hall has chosen courage and valor over and over, so that at this point, the Witch King himself has to go confront Theoden. Witch King's like, okay, here's the source of my problem. This old man who hasn't given up fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Theoden is pretty cool, and he has achieved what he wanted to, which
Yeah.
is give Gondor a whole lot of relief and also live up to the names of his ancestors. And he'll
Yeah.
cite that even as he dies a little bit later on. Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
Even as he goes ahead and dies, he says, I've defeated this great enemy. That was pretty cool.
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah,
ashamed
hereditary.
anymore. So
Mhm.
nice to see that. As Theoden's horse is spooked by the big pterodactyl thing, which is understandable, and it also gives an actual good reason for why in the middle of a big battle people can have like a little moment where they have a one-on-one duel.
Yeah.
That's cool. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually battles are just going on and then two guys just start talking in the middle of it. And you
Yeah. I think if you saw the Witch King, maybe you wouldn't want to be around there.
Yeah, well,
And
and
it's
it's
actively scaring horses away.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even really the Rohirrim's fault. It's just they can't even control their animals.
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
the reasoning behind it, which makes sense, and it gives them a little bit of space for some interaction. The only three that are around are Theoden, this Durnhelm person, and Merry, who is there. Merry is very much face down in the dirt, terrified out of his mind. He just can't run away. He doesn't have a horse to run away
Uh,
with.
real. Yeah.
Understandable. And these are and Theoden, of course, is like crippled and squished by his horse. So there's only one Durnhelm person to stand up against the Witch King.
Yeah. This is the highlight of the chapter. Tolkien just knows what he's doing here.
Yeah. Um, Half of this is really cool, and half of this is kind of stupid. I
Okay.
am willing to overlook the kind of stupid, and there may well be a deeper reason for it, but it's
Okay.
a little silly. So, the Witch King's special power is that no man can kill him,
Okay.
basically, right? And like that's his thing. That's what he's been hyped up as. And then Eowyn's like, well, Durnhelm is like, actually, I'm a woman. I'm not a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can kill you. I just imagine the Witch King saying, man is actually a term for just human being.
As he
And then
gets stabbed in the
he
face.
proceeds to uh, smash the daylights out of her. I mean, it is ridiculous that is. There's a standpoint from which it's ridiculous that that is the
Yeah.
explanation.
Well. Okay. So in the history of Middle Earth,
Yeah.
there's the Northern Kingdom Arnor,
Yep.
like the sister kingdom to Gondor, and the Witch King was warring against Arnor for a while. And on one especially climactic battle, the Witch King was defeated, and the King of Arnor was going to go chase after him. And you remember Glorfindel from the Fellowship of the Ring?
Vaguely. He's the one in
Yeah,
the Shire.
Glorfindel's there,
Yeah.
and he says, "Don't chase him. I have a prophecy. He's not going to die by the hand of man, and definitely not for a while." And so a word eventually gets to the Witch King about this prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
and like any evil guy, he takes it as like a power, but that's technically not what it is. It's a prophecy of his destruction.
Okay. That is,
Yeah.
yeah, that is interesting. So one of the possibilities I considered and why I don't think this is horribly egregious is it could just be that it's false.
Yeah.
Like, if your enemy's whole thing is, well, you can't beat me because I have a prophecy about it, then it disincentivizes people from even trying to do it. And
Hmm.
so it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way.
Exactly.
Um, if Glorfindel is that from the the Silmarillion
It's
or
in the appendices,
appendices?
actually. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe if I just read the end of the book, then I would understand.
Uh,
Shame for me not skipping ahead. So
No,
if Glorfindel is indeed saying, well, man is not going to kill you, then it's still the same. Like, okay, that sounds like human being is not going to kill you, not just the gender of
yes.
man is not going to kill you, but whatever. It's kind of what it reminds me of. There's like a twofold kind of reminder here. It's kind of the Macbeth thing
Oh,
where
yeah.
Macbeth can't be killed by someone who's been born of a woman, and the guy's like, well, Macduff, I think his name is like, well, I was never technically born, even though getting a C-section does mean that you're born. So,
Mm,
whatever, but technically she was dead at the time, I guess. So, yeah, it's like it's the overly like literalistic kind of promise. And so even if it
yes.
is a promise or a prophecy, it's something where you didn't understand the implications behind it,
Yes.
which which makes it work very much like kind of like King Midas from the Greek
No,
myths.
you have this gift that turns out to be a curse for you.
Yeah, well, you just didn't understand everything that it would mean. You thought about the good
Yes.
sides of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
but you didn't realize the limitations of it. Or, I mean, like
yeah.
Aladdin and the genie and how that stuff works. You can make a promise, but if he over literally fulfills your promise because you didn't communicate everything you wanted to, well, it's the
Hmm.
Achilles getting dipped in the river Styx so that he is immortal, but not the one little bit of him he didn't think to account for, and then he dies from it.
Yeah,
And so it's very much in that sphere of like legendary things that
it
don't
is.
quite fulfill expectation, which is
Hmm.
why I'm cool with it, even though it is a little bit silly.
Yeah, it's a pattern people have adhered to for a long time.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I think it makes sense from Tolkien's inspirations as well,
Yeah, yeah,
because those are pretty much all stories that he would have known and been very comfortable with. I think so.
yeah.
Um, Basically, Eowyn just kills the Witch King. It's not super easy.
Well, yeah, yeah,
She gets her arm broken, which
yeah,
is cool. And then she almost dies, but Mary gets in and stabs the Witch King in the knee, which makes
yeah,
him miss his shot, and Eowyn just stabs him in the face, basically.
yeah.
And
Well, not really. Just missed the shot.
yeah, well, he stumbles over, and I forget all that happens.
Okay, so let's talk about Mary for a second. Is man, we've we haven't been around the ring wraiths much since like the Fellowship of the Ring. Tolkien was kind of rehyping them up in like the Siege of Gondor chapter.
Yep.
Um, like that's aura of terror and despair, and they are also flying around, messing with people to a great degree. But Mary's been around them before,
Mhm.
and he doesn't like them.
Yeah.
No one likes being around them. There's no wonder that he's got his face in the dirt and he's trying to hype himself up, but it's like his spirit is willing, but his flesh is weak. It's like
Mhm.
you said you'd be the king's man. You said you'd stay by him, but he can't bring himself to get up to be noticed by the Witch King. But once he sees that he knows Eowyn and sees that she's being brave, he says, I can't stay here. I've got to do something. And he uses the sword from the Barrow Down all the way back in Fellowship of the Ring,
Mhm.
which Tolkien says, oh, by the way, this was forged with spells to kill the Witch King because those people fought the Witch King all the time.
Yeah. I did put those pieces together. I did
Yeah,
get that
yeah.
one.
And so Eowyn could not have killed the Witch King unless Mary broke the spell of invulnerability or whatever that's on the Witch King.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't catch on to that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought he just made the guy stumble over so that Eowyn had a shot at him.
Yeah, that's the part of it. But less like physical damage. He's like, oh no, I'm a lot weaker now, and then gets stabbed in the face.
Psychic damage from a hobbit, from a
Yeah,
knee shot from behind. Incredible.
it really is.
Yeah. One of the lines that for some reason lives rent free in my head is Mary's assessment of Eowyn standing there. She should not die so fair, so desperate. At least she should not die alone, unaided. I read
Yeah.
that and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that line from 10 years ago,
Okay.
the last time I read
I
this.
mean,
I don't know
it's
why.
a it's a good line.
Mm-hmm. So,
Um,
makes
you
sense.
know, it's interesting. He's pity fills his heart, and then that line comes to him. That thought, I guess he doesn't say it aloud, but it's because he sees she's despairing and willing to die.
Mm-hmm.
Says, "Well, probably shouldn't let her die like that,"
Yeah.
which is based.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Very chivalrous
Yeah.
for a hobbit who is absolutely terrified at the moment.
Yeah. It's it's just very, very inspiring and wonderful.
Yeah.
There's one other connection.
Sure.
It's pretty superficial, but it's kind of interesting. Is back in Bree, Mary was the guy who crept outside and ended up trying to spy on the ringwraiths accidentally,
Right.
and now he gets to know them even more personally right here.
No.
Yeah.
He had a close encounter with them, right? And they
Yeah, they
left him.
almost like drug him off or killed him, something like that.
So he would much like Frodo whenever a ring wraith cries out, Frodo's like, "Ah, I was stabbed by them." Mary is
Mhm.
probably having some kind of PTSD as well,
Yeah,
and
he's
yet
like, I don't like being this close.
is motivated by higher purpose to go out and
Yeah,
actually help, which is good
oh,
because without him, this doesn't work.
it doesn't. Yeah,
So,
it's very providential, you know.
yeah. It ends up being a good thing that Mary and Eowyn both got there. Even
Yes.
though it was a violation of the command, it does end up actually doing something good. And so
Yeah.
when Mary crawls over to Theoden after the Witch King is killed, Theoden does pardon him for his
Yeah.
crime, which is
What's he say? It's
something about a great heart um, shouldn't be
will not be
persecuted.
denied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, he
um,
shouldn't have done
it's
that, but thanks.
you know, since Theoden took the steps to be selfless and like a true king,
Mhm.
he just effortlessly adds to that concern for little people, particularly for Mary, as we've seen on several different occasions. Here he is dying, and he doesn't have many words left. But he
Mhm.
says, "Oh, here's Mary. Let me make sure he doesn't feel guilty, and ask him to remember me when he smokes his pipe."
Yeah.
This is a very gentle moment.
Yeah. And his reflection is not how much pain he is in. His reflection is, I'm sorry I don't get to keep my promise, Mary. I was trying, but
Yeah,
unfortunate events have gotten in the way of these things, basically.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Theoden is the one thing that is fairly sad is he is several things are fairly sad, but one of the things that's extra fairly sad is he's talking about Eowyn and wanting to uh, wanting to send word to her and let her know that everything's okay and like he's dead, but she can continue on and stuff. And he doesn't realize she's like 2 feet away from him the
yeah,
whole time, and then he dies before he ever manages to make that connection. So he forgives Mary because Mary's heart was in a good place, even though the actions weren't right. And I'm pretty sure he would extend that to Eowyn as well,
yeah. I
with
think so.
a sense of worry because he was much more in charge of her than he was of Mary.
Yeah,
But still, she would have been forgiven. Um, had she been able to actually get up and talk to him. But she isn't, because it
Yeah.
turns out killing the Witch King is not free.
No. Which good.
Yeah, it's fair. If it was just poke him in the face and then he's done, that's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Um, Eowyn is basically dead, close
Yeah.
to it.
The Rohirrim think she is. Yeah.
Yeah. Later on the line, don't you don't you have a medic? Like, do you know how to check if someone's breathing?
Oh my
That's
goodness.
a funny little bit later on. My voice has decided to die. Eowyn is her arm was broken whenever the Witch King hit her with a mace. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's
Shattering her shield. Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because he's just that strong or if that was something to do with his magic as well, but
Yeah.
either way, she's
Both
messed up.
something like that. Yeah.
And we know Mary, as he's walking around after this, he's like trying to find a sword and stuff, and he's walking around. His arm is not functioning. I don't think it says it's broken, but
No.
something's up with it, and he's stuck with just his left hand
Yeah.
for the
It's the
moment.
arm that struck the Witch King is like poisoned or cursed or something.
Yeah, numb in some way where it's incapable.
Yeah.
So Eowyn, even though we don't have confirmation yet, presumably has lost the use of both arms right now
Yes.
and is
Yeah.
face down in the dirt and is close enough to death that everybody thinks she's dead. So that seems like a problem. How are we going to fix that? Find out in chapter 8, I think. Or
Something like that. Yeah.
it's the not the next one. Yes, it's chapter 8. We'll
Mhm.
we'll work on that later on. But there are consequences for striking down a great enemy.
Mhm.
The
I got. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to bring up that Aemir shows up here as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we talk a little bit more about Eowyn first.
Sure, go ahead.
This is not the end of her arc.
No.
But it is an important hinge.
Mm-hmm.
After we talked in what's the passing of the Great Company about her less than ideal situation.
Yep.
And why, even though she should choose duty instead of going off and doing her own thing,
mm-hmm.
It's like you can see, one can understand why she feels so trapped and despairing.
Yep.
With the events surrounding her. And the final nail for her giving up basically is she has like this unhelpfully entwined desire to marry Aragorn and also to follow him into battle since he's a greater king than Theoden, a greater leader.
Oh.
Yeah, one of, if not both of those things. And Aragorn says, I can't help you with either of those things. And if she, and moreover, he's apparently going to his death. She says, well, if he's dying, maybe I should do that too.
Aragorn is?
Yeah, because she thinks going the paths of the dead is suicide. Yeah.
Right.
And so she said, well, I guess the best I can do is ride with my adopted father, Theoden, get some renown, and die in battle because I don't like being alive very much.
Yeah.
And to her credit, she doubles down on that about as well as someone could.
Yeah.
And I think it's her disregard for her life that allows her to do what the horses and even other knights aren't able to do, which is stand before the Witch King.
Yeah.
His main power is like fear of death. And that doesn't work on her very well.
Yeah, she doesn't have any. She's noted as having eyes that are just like, well, whatever,
Yeah.
just soulless, basically.
And so Tolkien, he's got something to tell us about that attitude. So she doesn't get what she's looking for.
No.
She survives the encounter.
Yeah.
And that's where we leave her for now. But like you observed, she's got kind got a bit more story in front of her.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up at the end of the chapter as part
Okay.
of a
Rip.
part. No, it's good. It may as well say it here.
Okay.
We'll also bring it up at the end of the chapter because part of the cumulative effect of the chapter is a lot greater than the individual parts, and
Yes.
Eowyn is a big part of that. She pointedly doesn't get what she wants. What do
Mhm.
you do in that situation then? And
Yeah.
that's, I guess we'll explore that more in chapters 8 and then on wherever else she ends up showing up.
Mhm.
So, pretty interesting point there. The only person who wanted to die can't die.
Yeah.
Curious. Um, Eomer does show up in the midst of this. Well, after the Witch King is dead, when she stabs the Witch King, she just kind of collapses forward, and the Witch King's gone.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was at the ford at Rivendell where the wraiths were knocked away and then they flew back to Mordor to reshape and then come back out later. He evidently has just straight up died and
Yeah.
vanished. There was nothing. There was nothing there. There was like a whole lot of nothingness that wore a robe and a crown, and then she stabbed the nothingness, and then there was definitely nothingness, um,
Yes.
incorporeal. He has been released and proceeds to straight up vanish. Eomer shows up after this. He finds Theoden. Theoden says, "Well, you're the king now," and then dies,
Yeah.
which is about all that he can do. So Eomer is sad about that, but then very, very sad when he sees his sister Eowyn definitely dead. He apparently doesn't know how to check if someone's breathing or check a pulse or anything like that. Granted,
Yeah.
pulse is hard through gloves or gauntlets, so
Mhm.
understandable.
Or
Uh,
when or when your own blood is racing.
yeah, or
Yeah.
when you just see somebody face down on a battlefield. There are assumptions that are made that are very logical assumptions.
Yes.
But it makes him go a bit suicidal with
Yes.
a charge, and where Theoden inspired his men with eloquent words, Eomer's just like, we're just gonna kill him. That's all that he does. Um,
I
all the riders just shout about death and then ride off to go kill the orcs in the southern half of the battlefield, which leaves
yes.
Merry kind of alone. A couple people come by and start cleaning up,
Yeah.
taking Theoden and Eowyn to Minas Tirith to kind of honor them as noble peoples. And that's where we find out she's not actually dead.
Yeah. Emerhill is a very noble guy, but he's what is it? He's got this like Legolas sarcasm almost. Like, are there no leeches among you? Come on.
Are you unaware how to check if someone's breathing? You can see her
Yes.
breathing on the gauntlet. Go take her to the hospital, basically.
Yeah.
Theoden is dead. You can't do anything for him, but take Eowyn to the hospital. She's still around, which is, I guess, a curious kind of parallel. I didn't really think about it, but it's Faramir, right? Because Faramir's not dead, but Denethor is convinced he's dead. Eowyn
Oh
also
yes. Yes.
isn't dead, but Eomer is convinced she's dead, and
Hmm.
everybody else is until, hey, somebody speaks up and says, actually, they're not dead. Let's try to keep them alive and heal them, which
Yeah.
is kind of the plot of the second half of Pelennor Fields, or well, the next chapter, which is the rest of the story of what's
Yeah.
happening inside of Minas Tirith. So that's a mutual bonding, I guess, is
That's right.
is a tool for them to.
Yeah. Of
Uh,
course, it's a lot more. Well, that specific detail is more traumatic for Faramir, but
yes,
that's an interesting connection.
yes. Eowyn is not conscious. Faramir is semi-conscious, probably.
Yeah. Well, and even if not, it's like when people tell this story again, I'm like, oh, Hamer's like, man, sorry, I didn't know you were alive.
Yeah.
And for Faramir, it's like, oh, my dad burned himself to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah, there's a little bit of difference in where these end up. But
Yeah.
um, Theoden,
Spoilers for the next chapter.
yeah, Theoden died in glory to save people, and also almost lost a child, whereas Denethor died in shame because he wanted to, and almost killed his own child, which is
Yes.
more and more depressing. But again, we'll get to that more next week when we actually talk about Denethor and the
Hmm.
stuff he's involved with. As Imrahil comes out of Minas Tirith, there's that note about Eowyn being alive. Go get her to the medic. But there's also a little bit of note about rain that starts to come down,
Yes.
which solves one problem, which is there's a bunch of fire in Minas Tirith. Fire's
Mhm.
kind of harder to sustain when it's being rained on, and so that the interior of the city is starting to heal from all of these things, and symbolically that's kind of cool because the sacrifice of Theoden and especially Eowyn with what they just did have begun to protect the city. The Witch King was
Yeah.
the one who actually got into Minas Tirith
Hmm.
and was about to destroy it, and yet he was called away, then he was killed, and now even his work is being undone. And so there's like
Exactly.
a nice
Yeah.
little picture there. I can
Hmm.
do imagery.
Good job. No,
Incredible.
that's a beautiful thing.
Um, and the rest of basically the rest of the chapter summation is the orcs are being chased down. There's more to it than that, but
Yeah.
that's
Well, I
most of
think
what's
one thing
happening.
that's you mentioned already a little bit that I
Mhm.
think is I like Tolkien that Tolkien brings it out. He says when we turn back to Aemir, fortune had turned against Aemir, and then Tolkien clarifies, and his fury had betrayed him.
Yeah.
Um, Aemir has been like a great guy, you know,
Hmm.
even from the moment we meet him. He's willing to bend the rules too when they need to be bent. He's willing to do the right thing even when Theoden isn't. Um, but he's not a perfect guy. He has a good excuse for shouting death and being confused, and he's fighting orcs, right?
Hmm.
But he's not doing it the best way he could. His fury has made him get into a very unsound strategic position that he could have avoided in a clearer mind.
Yeah.
And Tolkien doesn't like spend a lot of time on that idea, but it is a reminder, I suppose, to not do that, um, not be not be mastered even by a understandable vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eowyn and Mary, right, right idea, wrong action, right?
Hmm.
But that ends up saving the day because they kill the Witch King, and then that removes a massive threat from the board in terms
Yeah.
of general. Just the Witch King dying is kind of important to Sauron in terms of the commander of his armies. But Eomer does the right action, which is killing orcs, but he does it with the wrong heart, which is just running in and almost getting himself killed.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of even a refutation of that idea of
Yeah.
hey, you need to check
That's
where
a
you're
really
at.
good way to say it. Yeah.
So yes, the clean version of the end of this chapter, and basically what happens is the orcs die. The actual version of the end of the chapter is Eomer chases the orcs. He goes too far. Imrahil gets involved, which is really nice to actually see Gondor coming out and helping.
Yeah.
Most of Gondor is not doing that, but Imrahil is willing to put his life on the line too. And so
Yeah.
you see that kind of cooperation, but even still, you have more and more of the orc troops, or they're grabbing the Southrons and the Haradrim and the Easterlings. They're grabbing all of the enemy's forces, and they're kind of piling up to come right back and take Minas Tirith now that the initial horse charge is over. And so there's an issue there, but then you have the flanking maneuver from the good guys, which is a little bit unexpected. The good guys didn't even know it was going to happen, but
Yeah.
the ships
Oh,
that were harassing the rest of Gondor, I think.
mhm.
They show up and Gondor thinks, "Oh, well, you know, we're done for now." Until
And it's
Aragorn comes
very
out.
demoralizing. Is oh, if the ships are here, and they took all the lands
Yeah.
south of Gondor along the river.
Yeah. There's no chance that anyone else from Gondor is going to come down and help because regular like armies were left behind in various places to protect against these the corsairs. But if the corsairs are here, there are no more armies coming to help you.
Yeah,
Until boom, there's this banner that comes out. If only this had been the first time we saw it. Anyway, uh, it's the
it
first
is
time
the
we
first
technically
time we
see it.
see it.
It's just a little bit silly. And I guess it does say, well, in the day sun, it was very bright and easy to see, as opposed
Yes.
to in the dark of night. I don't
Yep.
really buy it, but okay, that's fine. Um, it's Aragorn's banner. Tell me the significance of Aragorn's banner. You would know it better than I would.
Oh, well, it hasn't been seen in Gondor for centuries. Um, it's it's Isildur's banner.
Is it just like
It,
a straight up, not a knockoff, but like it's just a copy?
yeah, well, it's a continuation of like the banner of the true kings.
Okay.
The steward's banner is actually just like blank white, I believe. Um,
Does it not have the white tree on it?
um, the steward's, I don't think. Aragorn's does.
Okay.
Has the tree with 7 stars above, with a crown above that.
Yeah. Well, it says there's a white tree, and that was for Gondor. So I had assumed that was just like the basic symbol for Gondor was the tree itself. But then
Yes.
above the tree, the noteworthy thing is stars, which I have no idea what those are there for. Um,
Hmm.
and then I guess the crown is just like the symbol of kingship.
Hmm. Yeah.
Either way, it works. I was just
Yeah. Yeah.
curious.
I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure stewards, they don't even get the white tree. They just got the white flag.
Interesting. A
I think
white
so.
flag for surrender. Cowards. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Curious.
The signs of a Lindel that no lord had borne for years beyond count.
Yeah. What are the stars for? Do you know what those represent?
I actually don't know exactly.
The seven
Um,
cities of Gondor. Is that a thing? I feel like that's a thing.
I don't think so. And if they're Elendil's
I'm
signs,
just stupid.
then those cities aren't even built yet. So
Oh,
we'll see what we can uncover with a quick Googling.
apparently. Apparently.
It's worth checking.
7 ships of faithful Numenorians that fled the downfall of
Oh,
Numenor,
oh, that's
each of which
beautiful.
carried one of the 7 seeing stones, apparently.
That's right.
Curious. Okay, so it's basically the origins of Gondor represented on a flag.
Yes. Okay.
By the
That's
way,
based.
quick tangent about flags.
Yes.
Flags should represent the place that they're from. That should be really simple. And yet a lot of flags are just like, well, it's the color blue. American state flags are really stupid, right? The
Oh,
color
yes.
blue with the state seal, which is 2 guys shaking hands on it, and I have no idea who the guys are.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
dumb.
having a seal on a flag in the first place is always a bad idea,
It's kind of
unless it's like
dumb.
an actual seal,
Yeah.
like like a marine mammal. That could work, but not a seal.
So it is cool that the banner actually means something, and of course, this is the one that Arwen made for Aragorn, which he was keeping
Yes.
secret earlier.
Yeah.
A very
Based.
dramatic proclamation that Gondor actually isn't dead, and
Yeah.
fittingly, then the good guys win the battle because
Yeah.
a bunch of dead people come off of the ships, and
No.
or they
No.
just no. This is just
Dead
Aragorn and
dead people don't come off the ships.
ah
Yeah. That's like one of the most clearest differences between the movie and the book.
Okay.
The dead helps get the ships, as we'll see later,
Okay. But they're not
but
actually
then
involved.
yeah, then Aragorn gets people like all those armies that were guarding against the Corsairs.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Get on the ships. We're going to Minas Tirith."
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah,
I did notice it didn't talk about them. I just kind of assumed they were there. But
yeah. Fair enough.
curious. Okay. So yeah, this is just straight up a bunch of Gondor shows up and
Yeah.
says, "Okay, no, you can't have our land." And Aragorn manages to meet Éomer in the middle of the battle, and
Hmm.
he says, "I promised I would be here." Éomer's
Yeah.
like, "Well, fair enough. I guess I should start relying on people promising things because it's been twice now. Gandalf and Aragorn have both promised that they would show up, and
Yep.
Éomer's like, nope, both times, and then both times they show up. So,
Yes.
um, fair enough. And they just finish the fight, and
Yeah.
everyone hears about it. It becomes part of the folk tale for all these different countries that they just annihilated. Um, all the Haradrim and the Southrons and the Easterlings are all hearing about it and are like, we
Yeah.
shouldn't go to Gondor. That seems like a bad idea.
Yes.
Um, and that's the conclusion to the chapter.
Yeah. We have a good song here at the end, honoring those from Rohan and Gondor who'd fallen. Um,
I did
couple
actually read
names.
this one.
There's a couple names we should recognize. Grimbold, who was
Mhm.
that awesome guy who helps defend Helm's Deep, dies here.
Mm.
A lot of the lords who did come to Gondor ended up dying. Forlong, Durfin, uh, Duilin, and others. And we have a mention of oh, he's not in the song, but Halbarad, who's like Aragorn's second in command, his banner bearer,
Yeah,
also dies here. Yeah.
yeah. He was the one who headed up the troop of rangers, right?
Hmm.
So rip
Yeah.
him. Cool guy. Rip dead. I actually did read this song. It was fine. It was
Yeah.
these people died, but we won.
Hmm. Yeah.
So good on that. The one thing I forgot to mention earlier, which is
Okay.
really funny to me for no
Oh
particular
my.
reason,
He's messing with the vibes.
is um, when Snowmane dies, he gets a
Oh,
little poem, Theoden's Horse, and it
yeah.
basically is just saying he was pretty cool, but he killed Theoden,
Yep.
which is really funny.
Faithful
Um,
servant, yet master's bane. Lightfoot's full, swift snowmane.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of Rachel having Benjamin and then being like, "Well, you killed your mom," and then naming him accordingly, and Jacob having to change that over
Yeah.
afterwards.
Thankfully, Theoden didn't waste any of his last words making that poem himself.
Yeah. So I do remember I meant to mention that earlier, but I forgot about it. Just making that little note there. There's a
Yeah, that's fair.
memorial song. It's so externally the battle is mopped up.
Yeah.
Internally, at the moment um, where the Witch King is threatening Gandalf, and then he hears the horn, and then he takes off to go deal with that. Um, there's still a little bit more we're waiting on because we don't know where Gandalf is. He's never mentioned in clearing out the
Yeah.
orcs here. And obviously, Pippin was running to do something in the couple chapters ago, and we're still waiting to find out what happens there. And so there's still some internal conflict to be resolved in the story. But by the time it gets to evening and Aragorn's come in and conquered everything, the stuff inside the city is fixed. We just don't actually know what happened from it because we don't have a perspective in there yet. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, so anything else before a quick kind of wrap up period.
Yes. Um. So we have seen just about. And I think we've talked about just about all the like Lord of the Rings connections coming together here,
Mm-hmm.
which is the main focus. Um, but one thing Tolkien, I'm impressed that he doesn't say more about this than he does. But he says Aragorn's banner he has here hadn't been seen since Elendil came with it.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Aragorn is landing in the same place that Elendil did.
Okay.
Yeah, which
Cool.
is cool.
Was
So
coming from Numenor to.
yeah, when Numenor was washed away like Atlantis because everyone was being stupid, Elendil and the faithful take their ships and end up landing here
Mm-hmm.
to found Gondor. Um, Other thing, I'm going to try to say this in a way that is succinct and makes sense.
Ooh.
I mentioned earlier Arnor had wars with the Witch King.
Mm-hmm.
Arnor also had an alliance with Gondor. And they said, hey, we're having a battle with the Witch King. This is getting really rough up here. Can you send help? And King Earnil of Gondor says, yeah, I'll send a fleet of ships to help you.
Hmm.
But the ships arrive too late to help.
Okay.
And so this is kind of an interesting inversion here, is the Witch King is down in Gondor, and Aragorn, who's from the north, has a fleet of ships that aren't late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just barely not too late.
just barely.
It
Right on
works.
time,
It works
like a
out.
wizard. Yeah.
So before before this chapter, kind of going into it, Aragorn had a quest. That's a old game from the Wii, by the way. Aragorn's Quest.
Oh, didn't know that.
There's a yeah, it's a video game. I don't remember if it's good or not. I played it when I was a kid and I didn't have an eye for quality. Um, Aragorn's quest was a hope. He had secured the army of the dead, but we weren't sure what he was going to do with it. And
Yeah.
the army of the dead was following after him because they were haunted and cursed, and they wanted to be rid of that. So
Mhm.
those have kind of been up in the air for a while. Theoden is charging into battle because he needs to try and help save people. He's done so much damage up in his homeland. He's trying to help preserve Western society, basically, is what it is. And so he is probably going to die from this, but he wants to do that, and he wants to honor his fathers in doing that.
Yeah.
Eowyn wants to just straight up die, which is why she's there. And Merry wants to be of help and serve Theoden, but when he gets into battle, he realizes he has no idea how he can actually do that. Gondor is in massive trouble because it's actively falling. As soon as Minas Tirith is gone, the rest of this country is going to be gone too. And so if that city gets messed up, everything goes horribly. Denethor is responding in kind and actively trying to mess himself up. Because Gondor is falling, well, why not burn yourself alive? And
Yeah.
that's Denethor's whole thing. We have yet to see that one resolve. But all of this is happening because Sauron is rushing to get a decisive blow on Gondor before Aragorn can come in and take it over,
Yes.
which is very interesting because what happens after, like through this chapter and the resolution for all these things is Sauron didn't quite manage to get the blow off, and now he's in a pretty bad position because he's just lost his primary general, and he
Yeah.
didn't actually conquer anything in Gondor, and that leaves him kind of lacking. His haste has turned out to not do very well, and Aragorn did manage to get there in time. Aragorn's quest ended up being successful. He has evidently purged Gondor of the rest of some other irritants and brought them down to the
Yeah.
war, and so we've got that in place. Gondor, therefore, is secure, and with that, the West is safe, at least for now. Denethor is being revoked of his title. He's no longer going to be in charge, which is probably good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and since Gondor is saved, even Denethor's reason for trying to burn himself is no longer. There was an argument to be made that might be that wasn't the dumbest decision, but it definitely is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It's
say it
just
was
a
ever a
couple,
good decision.
yeah, a couple rungs lower than like Eowyn's motivation.
Yeah, yeah. There was an inevitability when Gondor was about to fall, but of course, then it doesn't fall, and so Denethor is stripped of not just his title and authority, but also his reason for even doing the thing that he's doing. So
Yeah.
that's pretty important. Theoden has managed to achieve glory in his sacrifice, his selflessness to save everyone. He honored his fathers, and so he passes, but it is a glorious thing. Eowyn, who just wanted to die because that's what she wanted, a very selfish desire, doesn't
Ultimately, yeah.
get to die, and is she does manage to kill the Witch King, so there's some amount of glory in that, but she doesn't actually get what she wants, which was to die in a glorious way. And so now she's going to wake up and realize, well, like I did all this stuff, I tried to die, it didn't work, and now there's disappointment down that route of life. Merry was able to serve in the way that neither he nor Theoden expected. So he was
Hmm.
actually able to serve Theoden, not to save Theoden. He can't manage to do that, but he
Yeah.
does save Theoden's daughter or adopted daughter.
Yeah.
And so he provides a great service that no one was looking forward to. The ghosts have fulfilled their contract, and so peace is available to them. The coursers are no longer a problem for Gondor, so the real army is now formed. And even the little banner is significant for reasons. And even the little blade that Merry had was very significant in the turning of the tide. So
Yeah.
now you have both Rohan and Gondor have new kings who are now brothers in arms who fought
Yeah.
together and are now united to go against Sauron, who's a little bit on the back foot because none of that was supposed to happen.
Right.
Actually, reading through the chapter is fine.
Hmm.
Thinking about everything that changes and that pivots because of this chapter is very, very cool. And that's
Yes.
why I'm okay with the chapter, even though there are a couple things where I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
little silly that that's
I
in
think
there.
that's really fair.
So,
Yeah. I think that's something, like, just to be honest, that I also experienced reading back through it
mhm.
is I can think back to it and appreciate even a few more things than what you said.
Yeah.
But reading through it isn't like the most like bombastic or exciting thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a filler episode.
No,
There's nothing filler
certainly
about
not.
it, but something doesn't have to be immediately arresting to the attention to be super worthwhile when
Yeah.
thinking about it. And that
Hmm.
I feel like that's underappreciated. A lot of people like to, a lot of movies and shows and stuff like to put the big epic fight scene, and it's cool because it's a big epic fight scene. And no,
Hmm.
I would rather have a subpar fight scene that actually furthers the plot of everyone involved than
Yes.
the
Yeah.
coolest choreography that doesn't do anything. Because this could really easily have been Sauron wants to beat Gondor and then Gondor wins.
Hmm.
But that's not even really the focus of the chapter. that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
one
not.
part among 20 or 30 or however many different things are coming together. So
Yeah.
pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah. I had you worried there for a minute.
Well, when he starts the episode and goes, "Oh boy," it's like,
This was a thing I read.
yeah. See, that makes you kind of worried.
Yeah, but I know it's really easy for me to say that and get a reaction out of you, and then it can mean all sorts of different things. I'm not committing to a path. I'm just kind of
uh,
stating it and
it's
rage baiting
underhanded.
people. Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty fun though. It's fun if I'm on this side of things, not on the other side.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe one day I'll think about getting you back for that
No,
instead of forgetting.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Next chapter, very short. It's called The Pyre of Denethor.
Mhm.
I wonder what happens.
That chapter is very dramatic.
I would imagine so. And it's the other part of this that hasn't yet been resolved, because
Yeah.
the Gandalf, Pippin, Denethor, Faramir arc is still going on. And so we
Yes.
have questions about that, but Aragorn
Mhm.
is about to arrive back in the city to see who knows what, and that's about what we're going to find out next week, I guess.
Mhm.
So,
We've had several things happening concurrently,
mhm.
like the Siege of Gondor and the Rite of of Rohan, and then this Pelennor Fields battle happening at the same time as the Pyre of Denethor. And then after that, we can make some chronological progress.
Yeah. Now, just imagine if the chapter ended with Aragorn walking into Minas Tirith and Gandalf walks out with, spoilers, Faramir, and is like, yo. And then we got the Pyre of Denethor chapter, which went back and did the Rite of the Rohirrim thing to explain how we got there.
That's not quite the
How
same.
awful. Yeah, it's not, but
It would be really funny though.
oh man, it would be a mess. But I think that's all I got for this one. You have
Yeah,
anything else?
same.
Cool. Then we will cut it there. And I almost hung up on you instead of stopping the recording, which would be a really funny thing. And then I could say
That
whatever I wanted to, and you wouldn't
that
bear
would be
witness to it.
funny.
We'll see you all next week.